after which we'll begin to jump straight into the agenda. Oh, Tina's already started recording. You're ahead of the ball there. Thank you, Tina. I appreciate that. Okay, so once again, this meeting is being recorded. Just for future purposes, we'll post this on the county webpage so that it's accessible to the general public. You can see the agenda on your screen here. If you haven't already, please use the chat to identify the district or school that you represent, as well as posting your name. That way we have a running list of attendees. If you're unable to use the chat function to post your name, then just please email us at eoceducation@pima.gov. I'll type that directly into the screen here so you all can see that. If you'll email that that email address to just let us know that you're joining in today, and that way we can make sure we capture everyone's attendance for the future notes. I do envision getting wrapped up with this agenda ahead of time today, so let's try to be as quick as we can about it. The first thing that we want to go over today is a metrics update. Okay, so I'm going to pull over a shared screen here and just kind of review some of this information with you all. So what you're looking at here is based on the Pima County dashboard, data dashboard. When you shrink this down, you can see this is the dashboard in its entirety. You can actually pull this down by zip code. You can locate this by school district, census tract, jurisdiction, and it gives you data-based information pulled directly from the state and dropped into this. We're going to pull up the cumulative cases specifically right now and use that for to start the discussion today. So if I go to my cumulative cases and look them up by date, it gives you this really this graph that shows you a pretty good illustration kind of where we're at in terms of case totals with COVID across Pima County. One of the things that I want to do though is just take this slider and zoom in over to October, November, because we are definitely in a place right now where we're receiving a lot of cases from our schools. So just looking from October 8th until current day, each one of these days is probably going to get a few more cases lumped into these categories. It usually takes about 2 weeks for ADHS to backdate and log all of the positive test results from any cases that they have incoming through their system. And then they immediately get updated on this graph. So expect to see some of these numbers jumping up here. You'll see a gap in November 1st for a redistribution of test results that'll drop into that space at some point here soon too. Okay, so just want to show that really quick to begin the stage for the next part of the conversation, which I'm sure all of you are aware right now that the ADHS data dashboard is currently showing us in a space of where we're in the red for cases per 100,000 for the state, and percent positivity is slowly climbing up just past 7.1% now statewide. My team and I receive all the cases from the schools in Pima County directly. So anytime there's a positive case of a staff or a student or anyone affiliated with that school, we don't get cases for parents. But those cases get sent directly over to me and my team, and we link them with contact tracing. And we have seen a lot in the last 3 weeks. So this is really consistent with our experience in terms of what we've been receiving. If we zoom in on Pima County here, you'll see that we are now at 125 per 100K, and that's just as of October 25th. So we're probably going to see that jump up over the next week or two. And that's pertinent for this particular conversation for a couple of reasons, which we'll get into a little bit later in the agenda today. I just want to be really clear and upfront with everyone on this call that we're definitely in a place of a lot of increased cases. The reason why the county is maintaining the stance right now of approval for hybrid instruction at school sites, because that's something we think is valuable. We need our students to be involved and we need them to be connected to something socially, and school seems like the appropriate mechanism for that. The main reason that is because we have seen very little in-class transmission of COVID at this point. Less than 5% of the total of the cases have have been as a result of in-classroom transmission. And within that 5%, the majority of those are with exceptional education classrooms. The problems that we're having and the places where we're seeing the most transmission for students are really threefold. One is with social gatherings with home origin, so parents, slumber parties, Halloween parties. That's important because we've got holidays coming up here soon, so we're probably expecting to see some increased transmission in that area. But the reason that I think it's important that you all are really clear on this is we've seen a lot of spread within athletics. This has been cheer, football, various other sports at this point in time. The actual in-game transmission hasn't been really high. We have had multiple outbreaks as a result of practices, scrimmages, or places where there is closer than 6 feet in-person contact as a result of playing those sports. We've seen that in volleyball as well. So, these are things that we're seeing firsthand. We're currently in the process of tracking all of those outbreaks, sharing those out with the AIA, and internally we'll be sharing those with all of the superintendents from all the districts in the next coming week here. This is really important because of two reasons. One, we're seeing an increase in cases, right? The second is because of where we're at with cases per 100,000 right now. And when we look at AIA metrics for what they are ascribing for minimal, moderate, and substantial transmission, we are now above one of the metrics, the benchmarks that they're ascribing for substantial transmission in terms of what we're seeing in case incline for Pima County as a county. For that reason, the Pima County Health Department is taking a very strong stance that we highly recommend that there is a cessation to all competition, all sports-related competition at this point in time. We're seeing the increase in cases coming from athletics, not purely from athletics, but overall we're seeing a lot of the schools' cases come in being tied back to those sports that I mentioned earlier. The strategies that schools have proposed in terms of continuing athletics right now at this point in time, one of those is important to touch base on. So before I go any further, I'm going to jump back over to the agenda just to kind of give a pace to where we're at with everything. Okay. So I gave you an overview of the metrics, both at the state and the county level, showed you a couple of resources that you can pull from and you can all access on your own in order to find those metrics of where we're currently at. I talked a little bit about scenario one, substantial spread. I'm actually going to pull up that guidance from AIA here shortly. And I kind of briefly got into the sports guidance. We're going to be talking about testing for entry as well here in a little bit. Give me a second here. Thank you. Okay. If we continue to see increased spread within our school settings, where there's schools that are closing classrooms because of these transmission rates that are happening outside of school, then at some point we may have to actually recommend a return to remote. The only reason that the two reasons why we're keeping hybrid instruction going are because we're not seeing in-classroom transmission and because mitigation at schools is really strong. And again, however, with the emerging cases and increase of cases that are tied to athletics, that may change our guidance overall. And I really would not like it to go that way, and I'm sure you all would not like it to go that way either. So really a continuation of close contact with our student athletes right now is going to put our schools at risk of closing. That's about as frank as I can make it. So if you want to continue practice or sports, we strongly suggest using the AIA Scenario 1 guidance that's provided through that website. I'm going to pull that up briefly so we can all see where to find that and what to do with that. At this point, I do want to stop and just ask Brian, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here for AIA, but do you have anything that, any updates from AIA in terms of what you all have discussed? Have you seen this this increase in cases from the different counties and state?
Not at this time. We're disappointed in the increase in numbers. However, our sports medicine advisory committee.
Sorry, you muted there, sir.
Thank you. Learning curve. We are still following our sports medicine advisory committee. There are some counties that have the go-ahead based on the metrics that have approval to begin practice. There are some schools that fall below the benchmarks based on zip codes that the students are within those zip codes of the servicing school that fall below these benchmarks that can proceed with practices. This is other than that, we have measured for the past 2 weeks, and we agree with your assessment that the cases are increasing.
Okay, thank you, sir. So within the AIA Return to Sports document, here's where they define the different levels of spread within the communities. Based on that guidance, if we scroll down to scenario 3, not scenario 1, that was an error. I will fix that on the agenda. The things that they are recommending: small individual non-contact sports may consider team practices for cross-country, golf, swim, dive, tennis, track, and field. The other guidance, I think we've covered in elaborate detail in the previous session. If you need more information on any of this, you can reach out to the health department. We'd be more than happy to walk you through that. But the other two pieces that we really want to highlight with this are these last two pieces. There are no spectators permitted at practice, and no competitions, meets, or tournaments shall occur. Because the county, Pima County at whole right now, is in that higher level of substantial spread, this is what the health department is recommending, this specific piece right here. Again, if you want to move forward with practices, engaging in cardiovascular or weightlifting, strength training, things of that nature, those are things that I think we can, as a health department, say we can support that. But we're in a time where we're seeing just a rapid increase. It is not safe for our community to engage in these other behaviors at this point in time. Okay, so I do want to just bring up a couple of resources that I've pulled together because I recognize the importance of sports and activities. I will email this list out to everyone on this call today. There's guidance on COVID-friendly activities for cheer, basketball, sports overall, activities outside of the sport. I was recently connected with a wrestling coach who's also a jiu-jitsu consultant, and he's looking to get me a whole curriculum of things that you can do and in a safe way for wrestlers during COVID as well. So if your school absolutely wants to move forward with wrestling, there'll be ideas that we can put together for you there as well. So you'll all be receiving this document with some of these links. The next thing up on the agenda here, I know we're moving through this rapidly here, but I want to make sure that we are respecting your all's time. So again, we're in scenario 3 that was altered. We talked about the sports guidance just a little bit based on that document. Thank you, Brian, again for sharing those insights from AIA. I will be connecting with Executive Hines and Pajic as well here within the next couple of days. Testing for entry is something that's come up a lot. And because of the increased number of cases that we've seen at the health department, our testing sites are backed up. The strategies that some of the schools have proposed around certain athletes testing once a week as a method for appropriate to return to sports is is unsustainable for the health department at this point in time. Each one of the tests costs approximately $150. And our goal as a county health agency is to make sure that those tests are distributed equitably across our community in a way to track disease that's going to keep vulnerable populations safe from a serious pandemic at this point in time. If you are going to conduct testing for your sports teams within your district in order to enable them to participate in any kind of athletic activity, that cannot happen with Pima County testing facilities any longer at this point in time. This is a memo from Chuck Huckleberry, the county administrator, which again, I will share out this with everyone on this call, but it clearly states that we will not allow high school athletes engaged in contact sports to participate in testing on a weekly basis as a method for participating in said activities. If a school district is wanting to engage in this specific strategy as a method for getting athletes to participate in either practices or organized conditioning events, then the district will have to cover those tests. I know of some districts that are currently doing that. And if that's something of interest to other folks on the call, we can maybe pull together some of that information and try to get that pushed forward with you all together. But that's about as plain as I can be with that. We will not support it as a county. It's a misuse of county tax dollars and funds to do this kind of thing when we're in the middle of an increased number of cases in a pandemic. Are there any questions or comments on any of that? Okay, I do see a quick couple of question in the chat box here. The AIA is still moving forward with cross country and volleyball state championships, as well as football games going on this Friday and Saturday. I think I've been really clear about Pima County's stance on that. Brian, do you want to maybe comment on any of that?
Other than we are proceeding, our sports medicine advisory committee says once we achieve the benchmarks that we can proceed, the schools benchmarks have been met, and the schools, if they have any positive cases, will be monitored accordingly and have withdrawn appropriately if necessary.
Okay,
but we are moving through our playoffs.
Okay, again, I'll just reiterate the Pima County Health Department stance on this is that sports should not be conducted competitively at this point in time in any way, shape, or form. Are there, that concludes us through the agenda. So is there anyone else that has questions, comments, or concerns for us at this time that you'd like to address? You can either bring those up in the chat box, or you can do a raise your hand function, or feel free to unmute and ask those questions as well. Okay, if you're looking for any additional resources in terms of athletics, I encourage you to reach out to the health department, the EOC education page, or the email, and we would be more than happy to try and connect you and provide some kind of support in a safe way for our community at this point in time. I do have another question posted in the chat. We have games scheduled already. Are those to be canceled? The health department would recommend that those games be canceled at this point in time. Again, the only athletics that we would support would be individual solo drills types practices where social distancing can be ensured and masks are being worn at this point in time. Brian, if maybe you could comment on, will there be any disciplinary action in terms of AIA involved with a school if they do choose to not participate in a specific game or activity that is supported by AIA?
No, we've not. There hasn't been, and there won't be. We support our membership. It would be a disappointment if they did, but no.
Okay, I think at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and move to close. Again, if you have further questions or comments or concerns, please reach out to us at EOC Education at pima.gov. We will make this recording available on our website. Brian, I do appreciate you jumping on today and kind of taking the hot seat for a bit. I know our agencies don't agree on this specific topic area at this point in time, but I do want to just reinforce to everyone on this call that our goal as a health department is ultimately to keep schools open, to keep our families safe, and to keep our community safe. And we think that it's a really critical time to examine what we're doing as role models for our community and for our families, and how we go about mitigating the spread of COVID. We have been doing some ongoing weekly webinar sessions. I know some folks from this call have been involved in that as well. If you're interested in attending any of those, again, email us at eoceducation@pima.gov. We can link you in on those conversations. You can get updated guidance, updated information on any of that moving forward. Are you going to email us the stuff you showed because you did not see anything on the call? Absolutely. This I'll be emailing out the agenda with some of the links, the AIA link, some of the other links that I shared out today, as well as the memo from the administrator, Chuck Huckleberry, for everyone that was on this call. If you sent out this meeting invite to anyone within your network of contacts, if you just wouldn't mind passing on that information as well, that would be helpful. Okay. Thank you everyone for your time today. Good luck this week and over the next couple weeks. Stay safe. Hi, Ryan. We just wrapped up the call. I sent you a quick email with all of the information that we did today. It was recorded, so if you want to go back and review, you can do that.
Great thing. I was just going to see if I get on because we just had